Welcome to the Signal Bridge Part 4. So since the last time I did glue down my black painted window screen material on the top of the signal bridge to give maintenance workers something to actually walk on if they climbed up the ladders. And there you can see a little bit closer view of the mesh surface there on top of the signal bridge. And just in case you hadn't noticed it, there's on that right side there of the leg is the coffee stirring rod that was the conduit for the wiring that goes down below. So the first thing I have to do is pick out a railing material. I've got on hand a couple of different thicknesses, a 0.04 inch and a 0.025 inch plastic rod from Evergreen scale models, and I decided to go with the 0.025. It just looks a little bit better. The 0.04 was a little bit too chunky. I've gotten a new set of a new caliper or vernier gauge, I guess, and just maybe I can see, it was brand new that day. I take one of those rods there and just check it really quick, and it's like, oh yeah, it is 0.025. How exciting. So I've got some of the micro drill bits there. I've got to go ahead and pick out a drill bit to use. I had one in the pin vise, and I thought maybe that'll be the right one, but I don't think it's a little bit too big. So we'll check out our drill bits. I do check them because sometimes they end up not going back into the labeled slot correctly. So I've got to find the right drill bit to use and get started. There's going to be a railing down each side of the top of the signal bridge, and each one has 5 posts or stanchions, you might call them. I'm not sure. So we'll go ahead and drill out the 10 holes for the 10 stanchions. Drilling with the pin vise and a small drill bit is kind of exciting. One just has to be careful when doing it so you don't end up breaking a drill bit, which obviously I've done. There's some super high-speed drilling, knock out that project fairly quickly. And now that we've got the holes produced, I'm going to take some of that 0.025 inch rod. The posts need to be a scale 3 feet above the floor of the walkway, and I've actually cutting out pieces that are more like 5 to 6 scale feet tall, as I will glue them in place, and then after putting the handrail on, I will trim them to the right length. So there's a little bit of a test fit there to make sure that the rod will fit in the hole that was drilled. So we'll go ahead and cut out a total of 10 of those parts and glue them in place. I'm using a thin viscosity cyanoacrylate adhesive. Frankly, it was easy enough. I just dipping the tiny end into the glue dispenser and gluing them in place. The glue sets up fairly quickly, making sure that they're fairly straight up and down. That's not a very exciting job, but it has to be done. So once we get all of those glued in place and make sure that they are pretty well set up, then I will go ahead and put in the handrail. So I'm using actually the budget calipers from Walmart to establish a 3-foot dimension there. And I'm going to take that, and using a black marker, I'm going to mark the appropriate height for the railing on all of the posts on both sides. And I figure on a length for the railing, and cut out a piece with actually a little bit of excess, and laying it across on those marks, and then applying some of my favorite plastic adhesive, the Plastruct adhesive, just a little bit on the brush at each of the mating points there. I noticed while I was doing this that one of my signal masts twisted a little bit in its bracket, so I'm going to have to go ahead and put some more. I just use Elmer's white glue on those things. The reason being, if something goes wrong with the signal, I might have to replace it, and I don't really want to put it in with cyanoacrylate adhesive, which would be very hard then to get it out. But Elmer's white glue is actually, with a little bit of gentle force, possibly some water, it is water-based adhesive, you can undo something. So now we've got the railings glued in on both sides, all ready to go. A little more glue there. And that's all looking pretty nice and square and plumb, as best as I'm probably going to get it with my skills and the tools at hand. And I think then we are ready for some. Oh, actually, the first thing I have to do is using my sprue cutters, nipping off the excess plastic from all the stanchions and the end of the handrails. Snip, snip. The sprue cutters are very nice. They're really a good flush cutter, so they cut really close to the surface. So now we are, in fact, ready for a little bit of paint. We'll get a little bit of flat black paint out to paint those rails. With all of the signal heads in place there, I really wasn't going to go through the effort of masking off the signal masts to protect them and then spray painting the rails. That would have been, it was just easier to go ahead and brush paint the railings a nice flat black color. I wish in real life I could paint that quickly. It would cut down the time on every project. I think in total this project probably gets out to be about 8 hours of work, maybe not quite that much. It would have been a good one-day project, I'm sure, but with employment and other things going on, it had to be done over, I think it was like working on it on 4 or 5 different nights. So there, the signal bridge is complete, all painted and ready to go, and the next phase of the project will be to install it on the layout and then put it to good use. We'll see you then.